Hello, everyone out there today. It's Mineya, as always, bringing you another opinion piece, I guess you could call it, but this time on the SuperGirl TV series, the new one that's sort of popped up, I believe, on NBC. Now, I'm going to start this off just by saying I actually don't know that much about Supergirl. I don't read her comics. I have only really followed her as a side character to many comic books and cartoons and movies and that horrible 90s movie. But anyway, a little brief introduction on the character based on the top of my head. If I get anything wrong, just correct me in the chat, and I apologize, but I do not really follow her, so I'm just trying this. Okay, so Supergirl's real name is Kara Zor-El, and I believe she's the cousin of Superman. Now, on Earth, she goes by the name Linda Lee, I think. And she works at an orphanage and wears a brunette wig so that people do not recognize her. She has the exact same powers as Superman. She is just the female Superman, and it's my understanding, and I could be wrong about this, but a lot of her battle, because obviously you can't just write Superman again and give him boobs, but a lot of her battle comes to do with her age and maturity from what I've seen, but I could be 100% wrong there. Don't take that bit as fact. Anyway, let's dig into it. Supergirl TV series. I actually was pretty excited about this because it's done by the same dude whose name is escaping me, but the guy that's responsible for Arrow and Flash on CW and soon Legends of Tomorrow, is also responsible for Blind Spot, another female-led TV series, which is amazing. I am trying so hard to remember his name, and I keep thinking it is the Dave and Dan Benioff, but it's not. They're the Game of Thrones dudes. What was his name? Man, I am sidetracking today. Oh man, I will find this out. I'm doing this live, by the way. I'm not trying to be Greg Berlanti and Andrew Kreisberg. Yeah, anyway, and it's CBS, not NBC. My bad. Alright, a little Google foo. But anyway, what was I saying? Yep, so, it's done by the same guy that does Arrow and Flash, but it's on CBS, which is a network that owns majority of the CW, but they have not confirmed that the three shows are linked in any way, shape, or form yet. Although it is rumored that there could be a Flash Supergirl crossover. We probably won't talk about that. I was very excited because I was like, you know what? Arrow and Flash are great shows. I really, really enjoy them. Greg Berlanti's also done Blind Spot, which is a female-led show that's handled with maturity, and I thought that was awesome as well. Not shy of female-led characters at all. I actually quite like it, as you guys probably already know. But anyway, I was so excited for this show. I saw the initial trailer and I had some worries. I was like, oh no, they're feminizing it up, and I get that. It's a female-led, superhero show. The name of the show is Supergirl. Their target audience, at least some executive probably thinks this is going to be aimed towards women, mothers, and like college age females and high school females as well. And they probably weren't thinking too much about the men there because this is Supergirl and not Superman. Doesn't matter. They have the same powers, etc. I didn't care. I was excited for that. Until I saw the first episode. First off, as I was saying before, on Earth, Supergirl goes by the name Linda Lee, and she's a resident of an orphanage. She wears a wig to hide her identity. She's had other careers as well from memory. I believe she was like an actress at one point, and she was like a student council member or something, or a therapist. I don't follow her that much. And a reporter at one stage too, which is very similar to Superman. And unfortunately for the TV series, they went down that route. So Supergirl is the assistant to Cat Grant, who basically she's Superman. She is a reporter, and that really let me down because I was very upset when I heard that, because this is just Superman with boobs, and that's not a bad thing. But I wanted Supergirl with her own problems and struggles, etc. So that was the first thing. Now, I did watch a show with my wife, who was actually super excited for this show. Super duper 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 excited. But there were a few things in the first episode that had us both sort of looking at each other and rolling our eyes. And it was the feminizing of the show. It almost feels like they dumbed down the character in the show to cater to a female audience, when a female audience doesn't need that. There's all this like, oh, why can't she be called Superwoman and not Supergirl? And like just all this crap throughout the first episode. On my planet, women bow to men. Just crap like that. And it's all these horribly sort of forced dialogue lines to sort of get those parrot-haired, overweight, social justice feminists, like, you know, wetting their loins about this character, how she's not gonna take no crap from no man, and she's gonna be the strongest. And it, like, my wife even looked at me, and she was the one that was super excited for the show. I had my reserves after seeing the trailer, and she just rolled her eyes, and she goes, I wish they didn't do this. And it was so upsetting, because this comes from Greg Berlanti, who does Blind Spot. Now, Blind Spot, and I'm going to talk about Blind Spot because Blind Spot is a TV series that came out at the same time as Supergirl from memory. At least over here it did. It's a female-led action-based series, which is basically what Supergirl is, and it does it right. We don't have any of this, just because I'm a woman you don't trust me, or I can't fight like a man because I'm a woman. All these crappy dialogue lines. We are given a strong female character who holds on her own and doesn't need anyone to tell you that she's a strong female character. If in the year 2015 anyone needs to be told that Supergirl is strong, God help us all now. I know, just come on. Like, it was so upsetting to hear stuff like this. But I thought to myself, you know what? Let's give it a second chance. So I watched the second episode. And the very first line in the second episode is, do you have me doing all this training because I'm a woman? And, why are we forcing this dialogue in Supergirl? Wouldn't it have just been cool if Supergirl was just fighting crime and doing her thing without this sort of dumbed down narrative to excite women? And it's really blatant what it is, and we know that Greg Berlanti is better than that because he's done it already. He's done it with another show that's, quite frankly, a lot better than Supergirl. Now, this isn't a sexist thing. It's not me going like, oh, women, or anything like that. There are so many great shows that show how to do a strong woman better than this. You've got Nikita, Outlander, I've mentioned Blind Spot as well. Like, those three pop off at the top of my head. Great shows, worth the watch. As I said before, Batgirl, favorite DC hero. But this is everything I was worried that it would be. And it had good ratings at the start, and there was some fear, and I know it got picked up for a second season, which is good. But there were rating issues with the show. I think there still are from memory, because it's just not holding its audience. And I think that's because a lot of the male comic book characters, like fans that watch Arrow and Flash and want to do all this stuff, and they're happy to have Supergirl on board, are basically being insulted when they watch the show. And then the women, on the other hand, and I can't really speak on the behalf of women, but I can speak on behalf of my wife, because these are the things she's expressed to me. And she said the same thing about Agent Peggy Carter. This isn't like a biased thing about just Supergirl. But she said it was very upsetting how a lot of the men seemed to be really dumb and awkward and clumsy, and so that it makes Supergirl seem better than she actually is. It's like sort of artificially raising her on a pedestal above everyone around her, well, her male counterparts, and it's boring because she's been spoon-fed this whole, oh, you're just she's not disadvantaged because she's a woman, and nobody thinks she is. She's the goddamn Supergirl. Has every power that Superman has, with the same levels of strength, with boobs and longer hair. Like, it's ridiculous. That the show seems to force people this narrative. So that's the biggest problem, I think, with the show, is you're pushing your male viewers away with this narrative, and you're making your female viewers a little uncomfortable. Yes, there are some that love it, and there's all these hashtag trends about who's the superwoman and supergirl in your life. Everyone's talking about how great their mums are and stuff like that, and I've got no problem with that. Everyone's mums are awesome. They're mums. They birthed you. They carried you in their stomachs for 9 months. But it's such a petty way to gain false sort of excitement for the show, and people are only watching it because they want to be told how great women are. And there are so many better ways you could have done it, and so many more sort of classy and mature ways you could have handled this story, and you didn't. You went with the low blows, and it's just so upsetting. I mean, there are some good moments. The combat seems okay. The budget's good for a TV series. It's not perfect, but it's good. I'm not going to talk about the absolutely abhorrent, just disgusting design of Red Tornado in this. V. Neil, shame on you. You should know better. That was worse than what half the contestants on Face Off put out. You would have been voted off your own show if you had presented that to any of the other judges. It is horrible. Did you not even Google Red Tornado before you made that? Anyway, back on topic. Yeah, that is my biggest problem with Supergirl, is it insults men, and it puts down women, and tries to disguise that as making them feel good. And it's horrible. It's like those ads on TV where you see all the mothers bouncing around in their underwear, and it's not photoshopped, and it's meant to make women feel happy, and it doesn't make anyone feel happy. Everyone's just like, oh, these women are bouncing around in their underwear on TV, and my kids are watching. Yeah, it's that to me is personally the big problem with Supergirl. If you look at Arrow and Flash, there are so many strong female characters in that, and they've never had that whole "but you're a woman" narrative thrown in their face. You've got both Black Canaries. You've got Thea as well, who is currently doing the Red Arrow sort of jig. Spoilers. You've got Felicity, who, while doesn't have any combat expertise or anything like that, is strong in her own right, and no one's had to go, this is Felicity, she's a strong woman, or any crap like that. Her actions speak for her, and Supergirl's actions should speak for her. You just saw her carrying a plane, and you're worried that she's not strong, and that the dialogue needs to reinforce that thought. It's insulting. Like, your audience knows this already because they've either read the comics or already a fan of the character, or they're watching a superhero show. They know who Superman is, and maybe if you've not actually watched or read or heard Supergirl before, you know Superman, and you have the same powers. Another thing in the show is she's constantly rescued by Superman, and they're constantly like putting down Superman the character. I'm tired of hearing about the Superman. I want to hear about the Supergirl. Those are lines in the story, and they're said to put down men and sort of diminish Superman as a character who is the greatest and longest running, like, most significant superhero and comic book character of all time, arguably, but still. And they're putting him down. This is a DC Universe show, and you're putting down your biggest character. If, like, she's got the same powers as Superman, she shouldn't need Superman to swoop in and save her. It's ridiculous. But yeah, it's just, you've characterized this person so wrong and gone with the low blows, and it's biting you in the backside. And I'm sorry to say it, because I really wanted the show to succeed, but the only way it can succeed is if, for the full-length season and Season 2, if you just dial back the girl power narrative and just focus on power, focus on Supergirl, mature it up a bit. We're not high school kids, we're not primary schoolers, we're not worried that we're going to get cooties watching the show. Mature it up, just dial up the writing. Like, Greg Berlanti, you know better than this. Like, take notes from Blind Spot, your own show, on how to do this right. And I'll try to keep watching, but if I watch the 3rd episode and there's more of this crap in it, I'm done with it. I'll keep watching Flash and Arrow and get my superhero fix there, because there's better shows. They're just hands down better, because you're not putting down your audience. You're putting so many little DC Easter eggs and little quips here and there, and we're seeing like Laurel go from being like a lawyer who could defend herself from the start to a badass fighter who's, you know, like protecting civilization. She's, you know, turned her from just a fighter to a hero and stuff like that, and it's great. But you've just done so wrong with Supergirl, so wrong, and I was so excited to watch this show. Anyway, those are my opinions on the show. That's what I feel like should be done to get better. It's been about 15 minutes. I'm going to call it there. Thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know what you think down below. Maybe watch some trailers and stuff for the show, or watch the first episode and see if you agree or disagree with me, and let me know why. And with that being said, I'm Mineya. This is Top Game, and you just listen to my opinion.